What's
Oh
going
yeah,
on, everybody? I'm Ben.
I'm Rom.
Welcome back to the One Piece versus 4K podcast, where we compare the One Piece 4 Kids anime to the Funimation dub, sometimes sub and throw in comparisons to the manga. Back again today for episode 59. Were you
It's
gonna
episode
say something?
91.
Oh,
Oh yeah, no, it was something. I'll have to
okay.
say it later, but yeah, it's episode 91. In the Funimation dub regular anime end.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah,
Every single, it could be every single episode you tell me. I still can't believe how much they cut out. Um,
I'm kind of wondering if I should have watched the episode after episode 91. So I'm gonna be intrigued to see how much they have and how much they cut in this episode.
yeah, well, we'll see. Um,
Um,
Yeah, but I guess before we get into this episode, what's been going on with you and what's been going on with One Piece?
So yeah, I mean, as I said in the last one, so part of the reason why it's been so long is so I went on my trip to India, and once I got back, I had like this like weird kind of I mean I like yeah like basically during the trip to India we had like a mini trip to like the beach and like a whole family festival, and it was like I was fine all the way up until the day I had to like fly back to the U.S. And on that day my nephew started to get like a high fever, and I was just like, ah, great. Because I think it was earlier in that day and pretty much most of the trip, like he would like he's like an 8-year-old kid, and he would like jump on me and he would like talk like within like inches. So it's like as soon as he got sick, I'm like, oh great. I was feeling great. I'm just like I was thinking that, oh, good chance I escape the trip without getting no. So for first flight it was great. I was like okay. Second flight I was just completely like the sickness started to really set in. I was a little woozy during the flight, but somehow made the second flight, got back, and then just been kind of dealing with like this like sickness. Um I think the doctor. I even had to like go to a virtual doctor, and they gave me like some pretty strong antibiotics apparently. But it was like only like it was only I think I want to say 5 pills. Yeah, I
Oh
think it was
wow,
5 pills. It was this antibiotic, and it was supposed to apparently treat like traveler's diarrhea in case there was any parasites or anything. Uh, so took that. Apparently, it should treat some unknown sinus infection. They said it should also treat traveler's diarrhea. Um, and I took it, started to feel a lot better. Finished this full cycle. But I feel like the sinus infection might be coming back a bit, cause
did you change your
like
toothbrush, bro?
no same. I mean, like for my I used a different toothbrush completely when I went to India.
Oh, okay.
But once I came to the US, I used my same toothbrush. Maybe I need to switch toothbrushes. Um, but like yeah, like I've been kind of like starting to kind of feel like I don't know if the sinus infection's completely gone. I just got to see if the traveler's diarrhea is gone. I think it's gone, but it's only been like 3 or 4 days since I stopped taking the pill. I mean, like when I completed the cycle. So gotta see how it is. Um, but yeah, like I think I'm fine. I think this should be fine. But I'll be seeing my doctor in like a little bit anyways, so I'm not too worried about that. Part of the reason I had to see like a virtual doctor is because apparently it's like impossible to see your family doctor nowadays. Like anytime like I try to schedule an appointment with a family doctor, it's like they're booked for 3 to 4 months. Like it just feels like anytime I want to go see my family doctor, they're like, "Oh yeah, we can get you an appointment next month," and I'm just like, "What's the point?" So that's it almost makes me feel like, what's the point of retaining my family doctor if like I
You
can't
probably
see
should
them?
go. You should probably go get a different doctor. Screw it.
The thing is, like, I feel like this is like the third one this has happened to, where it's like when I had to schedule a regular appointment, they're only available like 4 months from now.
Well, I had the
Not
opposite
4 months,
problem.
but like a month or two. You know,
I
not
had
4 months. Yeah.
well, I was gonna say I had the opposite problem. I tried to schedule. I think you'll be proud of me. I had my first annual checkup in probably a million years. Um, but I called to schedule it, and I was like, all right, well, I'm sure I'll have it scheduled for sometime in March. And they're like, can you come tomorrow?
Oh, okay,
And I
gotcha.
was like, sure. I just said okay because I was like, I don't know how much longer it's gonna be if I don't say. But yeah, that was shocking to me. And then I had called another doctor to schedule an appointment, and they're like, "Can you come Thursday?" So like I had the same thing happen twice. So then I actually kind of felt bad because I had to like, all of a sudden say, "All right, well, I'm gonna need off a couple half days at work because I called to schedule an appointment. They said we need you now." But
Yeah, I mean, like, is this like you had a cold and you had to go to the doctor,
no, I
or is it
didn't.
like?
But I just I this was for an annual checkup. I called to schedule
Okay,
an
okay.
annual checkup, and they said we can see you now.
Well, so here's the thing. I understand annual checkups being like a month later or 2 months later. I fully understand that because they have to,
Yeah, but
put in the
this
order for
isn't
the
the
medication
case.
and stuff. For you, yeah, I guess they had everything there. But for me, it's like, I come back from this trip. I'm having these symptoms, so it's like,
Well,
I
no,
should
then you
probably
need
like.
to tell them that.
I
You need
did. I did, and they're still like, yeah, so we can book you an appointment like a month from now. Like, actually,
Nah, dude, I would go
part of the
somewhere
reason.
else. To screw them. That's asshole thing. You just went in to be seen, and you need a follow up, and they're not going to give you a follow up. Screw that doctor.
I mean, it's not a I just went in. It was like I just had this cold and I had to. Well, it's like, I had this potential sickness and I wanted
Yeah,
to
but
go
you
there
did
to
a
get it.
teledoc thing, right?
Yeah, so that's the thing. So I had to do a teledoc because just like I don't want to wait too much. So I did a teledoc, and the teledoc is the doctor who's like, okay, you could be having some traveler's diarrhea, so they prescribed me the antibiotic. What's fortunate is that I had a gastro appointment. Like my gastro, he wants to like follow up every few months. I guess for at least the first year after my surgery. So I had that appointment coming up. So which was great because when I had the gastro appointment, he said, "Yeah, no, this is like good." He said this antibiotic should take care of any kind of infection, especially like parasitic infection. He's like, "This is good," and like so I had that check off with him. But it's like my regular family doctor who I go for annual physicals and stuff. It's like impossible, and yeah, so yeah, I don't know. Like maybe like yeah, I don't know. Maybe like I need to go back to I don't know if the one that I used to have with my family is available in my new insurance plan.
Or
Because
just go to a totally new one altogether.
that's what I have been doing, is going to a new family doctors every few years because my current existing one isn't available. So it's like I have to go
Oh
to a
yeah,
new one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So stupid.
It's yeah, it's part of the reason why, like, if anything opened up at like one of the larger companies, I'm willing to switch. Because the larger companies are probably gonna have like Aetna instead of Cigna. Um, because like I've been with Cigna for the past 3 years, I think, and so going to a larger company that has Aetna might uh get me in touch with my old doctor. Um, who knows?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it sucks trying to find doctors. And then you find a
Yeah.
doctor, and then you just pit up with, yeah, I mean, you pit up with driving 45 minutes out because they're a good doctor, and you don't want to try to find another one because by the time you find someone closer, then they suck, and then you just wasted your time. So I mean, I know
Yeah.
how it is. I like my gastro doctor is like full on hour away, and I still put up with it because I'm not about to go to someone else. I had bad experience before, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, so kind of wrap up, like, so that's kind of what's been going on as to why like it's been so long
well,
since
dude,
we
you
did
must have
this.
been pretty sick because you didn't like. I actually responded. Maybe you just fell asleep or you're busy, but like I responded to you and you never responded back. I was like, oh damn, he's really sick.
It's possible. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
when you
I
sent that
I think I
message.
sent it for you like right when you got back. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just possible that like I was just completely out of it. Like the first
yeah.
week I got back, like what's funny is that the trip was like a week long, but it was like the first week I got back, I was just completely out of it most of the week. I actually don't know how much work I got done at work. But the week after I came, so then the week after I came back, I was actually able to get like a lot of stuff done, and then now we have this week. But yeah, that first week it was like a complete blur. If you sent me something that week, yeah, there's a good chance I just don't remember it. Hey, really quick, did you end up doing? Did you end up doing jury duty, or like did they end
Yeah,
up
for
saying
one
you're?
day only. They sent me home. They sent me home
Oh,
that day, and then
mhm.
they said they were gonna contact me if they needed me, but then they didn't need me. Was that the same
Oh
thing that
wow.
happened to you?
Yeah, basically the my note said that the day before my jury duty date, I needed to call this number to see if my group was selected or if we were excused. And I was still sick because I just got back from India, and I was still sick, jet lagged, so I was like a total mess. And I called them, and they're like, "If you get selected, you should still come in." But fortunately, on the day before, I got the call. Well, I called in and they said my group was excused, so I didn't have to go. So I was just like, that's awesome.
Dude, they did it totally different, and it was freaking stupid. I mean, because uh, for me, they selected 10 different groups of people, like 200 people for like three juries,
Mm.
and then they just like I was in group 10, so like I
Mhm.
wasn't even about to get seen, and I stayed there like almost all day, not all, at least like 5 or 6 hours. But it just seemed like so pointless and such a massive waste of money for them because they had to pay all
Yeah.
200 of those people $50. I was actually shocked how quickly I got my check like within the week.
Oh, okay,
I
okay,
was
okay,
shocked
okay.
about that. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, it was incredibly boring. Like it was so boring that I was bored of being on my phone. Like I should have brought a book. Like I was so
Yeah.
bored that I was like, I wish I brought a book.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But there was like
I think
people there that were working. Like they brought their like work computer and they had like a little office area. I'm just like, what?
I think it
Interesting.
might be I think it might be because it's like the one I had to go is like downtown, and going to downtown is like such a pain that I think, yeah, I think like they also probably have like a huge amount of people that they probably were able to put in processes so that we don't have to come in if we don't need to.
Maybe that's why it was easier there. Yeah, I don't know. They had also said this is their first in-person one back since COVID.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, whatever. But yeah, I guess I lucked out. I mean, at least I got an extra day off work. But
yeah,
I was really tired too because I had just got back from a vacation.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. So yeah. I was just kind of curious about that. Um, But besides that, kind of in the world of One Piece, probably mentioned this right before I left too, because
I still
they're
haven't seen
already.
that 1 second teaser for the One Piece Netflix.
I don't know if they put in a teaser. I did see like a photo of everyone in their costume. I
Oh, I
did
didn't
see
see
that.
that. I didn't see that yet. Why didn't you
Yeah,
send me
yeah,
that,
yeah.
man?
Oh, I think it was in the thing that you sent me. But yeah, it wasn't like huge. It was like everyone was facing the backside. They weren't facing
Oh, it's
forward. They
just
were.
they're like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, 2 days
Uh,
ago they have a live action trailer. Unless this is a
oh,
fake one. Could be.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. But yeah, they did that. A lot of people, I mean, some people, some of them were just like bad criticism because um, they were they were saying that the actresses breasts weren't as big as the characters' breasts and stuff, and it's kind of bad because it's like back issues are a thing in real life, you know. Might not be a thing in anime world, but it's a thing in real life. Um, so it's like people can't have like breasts that huge
Well,
because it
it's
would cause a
before
lot
the
of bad.
time skip, anyways. So
No, her.
there's potential.
Oh, dude, no, her things have always been huge before time skip, but that was one of the bad ones. Some of them were it's kind of weird. They were kind of criticizing uh the actor who portrays Sanji because the way he's built right now, because the dude's like pretty huge. I always said that he's post time skip Sanji because he's like a built like muscular dude. And the thing is, pre time skip, well, the only person pre time skip who had like a lot of muscles, who was really built, was Zoro and Frankie. Not really. Maybe Frankie had a little bit of a build, but it was mainly just Zoro because he's always working out.
Dude,
And then,
spoilers. I don't even know who Frankie is.
and you'll never know who he is. Uh, but the thing is, post time skip, that's when Sanji is like built. He's like stacked. Um, and so pre time skip Sanji is like pretty skinny. He's like a really skinny dude. Like you see him, like he's like really skinny. But post time skip, he's like jacked. And the actor who plays Sanji, he's built like post time skip Sanji. So when he's dressed up as the cook, as how Sanji is dressed up, with like a full suit, it's like, oh no, everyone's like, oh, this is like post time skip Sanji, not pre time skip. So yeah, it was kind of weird, but the actor who does portray Sanji, like he kind of has like a nice story because I think he was like a pretty hefty dude apparently growing up, and so he made an effort to lose a lot of weight and put a lot of muscles, and so that's why he's like really stacked because he's been like working to lose a lot of weight and build muscles and stuff. But he's also like posted clips of himself training to portray like how he fights, and there's like a progress video of how he started and to where he is right now, and where he is right now is really great. But it does make me wonder how the fight scenes are going to be when it's finally made, like when they finally show it. So I'm curious to see it because anime fight scenes are kind of like slowish because it's so it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to be portrayed
Dude, the
in
fight scenes
real
better be
life.
as good as Daredevil.
Oh man. Well, they got that money. They got that money.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Um but yeah, I mean, there is ways to slow down fight scenes. Some people said that the fight scenes in Arrow is pretty slow. Um in a lot of Indian movies the fight scenes are also pretty slow, and it's obviously like live action
There's some pretty
CGI.
fast. There was some scenes that were pretty fast in Arrow.
Yeah. I mean, apparently, to us it felt fast, but apparently some people thought like some of the fight scenes were really kind of slow and stuff, but it's whatever. But it's like there are fight scenes that are kind of slow, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes, because a lot of fight scenes like Daredevil, the fight scenes are pretty fast. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they do that.
Yeah.
But in the manga, obviously they're in like a new island. They're going through. It's a bit of a spoiler, but not really. But basically, in the manga right now, it's basically like a game of Among Us where there is someone who is betraying the group in the island, and they said that it is someone in the group, and they're trying to figure out who it is. So it's an interesting arc. Everyone's making meme about how Oda's playing a game of Among Us in middle of like the end game part of the story. This is the final saga. This is the start to the final saga of One Piece. And the start to the final saga of One Piece is a game of Among Us. So people were kind of joking about that. Um, so yeah, one of the characters who's been featured a lot recently. He's meeting with a character everybody's loved for the longest time. So it'll be interesting to see how that story kind of builds out. So like the chapters have been great. It's been forcing a lot of One Piece YouTubers to read the spoilers and the scans before the official comes out. I think the only person who waits for the official to come out and read the official is the one person who's actually like he partners with Viz.
Yeah.
So he's the only one who waits for the official to come out because he is like sponsored or he does work with Viz. So, but yeah, like it's just the chapters have been like top quality. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where the world of One Piece is at right now. Is a game of Among Us going on in the manga, and it's pretty interesting. So yeah,
And
what's been going on with you?
you've been really enjoying that new One Piece game too, right?
Yeah. So much, just enjoying the heck out of it right now. Just playing it 24/7.
Yeah, because
Uh,
everyone remembers on the podcast when you said you were buying that game day one. So
yeah, true, true.
it's been
I
out
do.
now for almost 3 months.
Yeah, I did hear some reviews of the game. Um, but I don't care. I'm gonna as soon as
It's
like I
got a
go back
nine
to
out
my,
of ten on Steam.
yeah, that's the thing. Like as soon as I go back to my place, I'm going to if it is available on PS5, which they say it is, I think I am gonna buy it and play it. I just gotta find the time to play it. But yeah, I am gonna buy it and play it. Um, I don't care how it's gonna be, but yeah, I am gonna buy and play it, and
We're
I'll
looking
review
forward
it.
to your review, man.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
definitely.
we'll look forward to your 2 to 3 hour in review, and then we'll look forward to your 50 hour review.
Hmm.
Yeah, not much has been going on with me other than me. Well, I was sick, kind of. I'm better now. And then I, dude, I don't even know what I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of videos with Laura for our Bear Army YouTube channel.
Hmm.
So we've been doing a lot of videos like that. She's been editing a bunch of videos, pinning them up. Been doing a bunch of stuff like that. I started playing this new game recently called Shotgun Farmers, and
Hmm.
it's like a it's a it's a game that I think it's like what if Nintendo made a first person shooter. It's a very
Oh, I was
like
gonna say,
kiddish first person shooter. You thought it was gonna be a farming game?
is it like Duck Hunter?
Duck Hunt. Oh no, no, it's not. But it's interesting because well, like I guess the gameplay loop of it is if you shoot your gun, like if you shoot your gun into the ground, you grow more weapons. So that's like the hook of the game. By shooting your gun, it reaches on the ground, and then you grow more weapons, and then you pick up more weapons. You know, and that's just kind of how the game goes. But the gameplay has like a lot of modes from popular games. There's team deathmatch, capture the flag, and
Okay,
stuff like that. It's a really
nice.
fun game. I was really shocked about how much fun I've had. The game was like $10 on Switch. But it's been on sale on Steam for like $5, so I've gotten a lot out of it. So
Nice, nice,
yeah,
nice. I'll have to check it out.
yeah,
I like games where it's like capture the flag and stuff.
yeah. There's like one mode too where it's like you have to well, there's a it's like capture the scarecrow, and then there's a capture the chicken, and then like capture the pig, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I've been yeah on like when I go on Facebook on occasion I do see like Laura kind of post some stuff about like yeah your YouTube channel on there, all the uploads and stuff. And I see you guys got the very famous like react with your mouth like open, you know, like
yeah, we've been trying to do the like hardcore YouTube thumbnails. Laura's really good at making these thumbnails. That's what she's really been enjoying, trying to make like really good thumbnails. I did a video playing Madden 2009 on the Wii, or I did a simulation game of Madden 2009 on the Wii.
Mhm.
Um, the Super Bowl. I just picked both of the teams, even though they had none of the same players. But I just matched them up against each other, and then I put in Rihanna midis in the background, so like like really shitty instrumental versions of her songs. And I did a video, and somehow that video has like 300 views, if not more.
Nice.
I have no clue how. I don't know who the heck's watching it. Um,
Well, it's
but
possible. Like obviously Rihanna just obviously she just performed in the Super Bowl, so it's possible that picked it up.
yeah, someone
And
searched
plus,
for Rihanna at Super Bowl and they saw our video and they're like, "What the hell is this?"
yeah, plus it's like Madden 9, so it's just like around the time Madden was pretty good. I think they peaked around 07, 08.
They
So
peaked at Madden 2004 with the quarterback vision. That's the last time they were good.
yeah,
When
was that the one where Vic was unstoppable?
yes, Vic was on the cover. I think
Yeah,
that's when they
I
peaked.
like yeah. And yeah, it's also that like it's like people are like, oh man, remember when the game was this good or something? Because the new Madden, apparently there's been so many bugs and so many glitches with it. Like it's like I go on that Madden subreddit and like I would see frequent photos of just like awful things. I don't know how true the rumor is, but there is a rumor that like the developers are on the hot seat because of the release of 23. So they're like 24 has to be amazing because like the release of 23 was apparently really bad. So should be interesting.
Well, isn't that college game coming out this year or is that next year?
It should be coming out soon. Part of the reason they didn't do it last time was because of name, image, and likeness, but now name, image, and likeness is
Well, that means it's gonna suck though, because unless they're using it because they usually use the Madden engine. So
no. NCAA, I think they've always been separate.
no, they've always used like the same engine though, like
Okay.
the
Oh.
same like underlying code.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. No, I think they will use because I think there were other football like competitors. I think there was like a 2K Madden. Like 2K did their version of a football
Yeah,
game.
but then
That
they haven't been doing that for years. Madden's just like the freaking like
Oh yeah, Madden's the Goliath. Like they are the monopoly.
yeah.
It's just them. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how NCAA does. Um yeah, I may pick up NCAA. Man, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, other than that, I've just been revisiting To Pimp a Butterfly and just thinking about how much that album still is Kendrick Lamar's worst album.
That is shocking because it won album of the year.
Okay, it's still bad. I still don't like it, man. I went back and
Do
listened
you
to it
hate
though.
jazz? Do you hate jazz? Do you hate good music?
No, but I went back and listened to it, and there's like one, two, three. There's like four. or five. There's like at least four tracks that I would never want to listen to again.
I do want to tell you something about To Pimp a Butterfly. I'll tell it to you after the podcast. It's kind of this funny thing that I just caught on. But yeah, I'll tell you later.
Okay, yeah.
But
Anyways, I think that album's overrated. I'm sure that's what everyone's tuning into. The
oh,
One Piece
I don't.
versus 4K podcast.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I don't mind if people say that it's overrated because like it did win the Grammy for best album, and obviously music is objective in that way where if something is labeled as the best of something, like it definitely falls into that, oh, it can be overrated because it's the best of. So I'm okay with that. But to say it's one of the worst
It
albums
is his
though,
worst. It is his worst one.
uh, uh, I don't know. I don't know.
I'll break down every album, and I'll break that there's like his second worst album is and this is far, like this is so much of a better album. Like Good Kid, Mad City is a way better album, but I think that is his second worst album. Uh,
Are you guys covering this in your other
no,
podcast,
I'm not going to be
Wayne's
covering that.
Academy?
No, because Wayne really has nothing to do with Kendrick Lamar other than that Mona Lisa song.
So,
Um,
like, I just had a question about Wayne's Academy. Like, are you guys like strictly about just Little Wayne, all music related to Little Wayne, and that's it,
yep.
or are you guys
Well,
So you guys.
that's like okay, so that's all we're really talk about. But we did do one special episode with another artist that was signed to Wayne's
Mhm.
label. And then we
Okay.
will like randomly like if there's a feature on a song, we will randomly just start talking about those artists. Um, I can't even I cannot even talk about Kendrick Lamar though with my other friend because he's just gonna shit on him so much, and I just can't even. Like you think this is bad? Me saying that to Pimp a Butterfly is Kendrick's worst album. I like he'll say like everything he's dropped is trash.
Is he a Drake fan?
Yeah, he is, but so am I. And but we
Okay.
still don't. I don't think that's a lie. I don't think that has anything to do with
There's
it.
apparently like this weird like Drake versus Kendrick Lamar kind of thing going on where people are like, oh yeah, no, Drake has nothing on Kendrick Lamar,
I will say
and
this:
all
the
that.
worst. I will say this as a Drake fan: the worst Kendrick, one of the worst Kendrick Lamar songs is the song with Drake and Kendrick Lamar on "Good Kid, Mad City." "Poetic Justice." I hate that song. That song is the one song that makes that album not a perfect album.
Has so you guys, Wheezy Academy podcast. Have you guys thought about branching into a different podcasts where you dive into other albums of other artists?
We probably could, um, but we just like honestly, like I feel like Lil Wayne is like one of the only artists that we both agree on that we like. Like our opinions are gonna be so polarizing that like we'll just get pissed off at each other.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So you want to keep it kind of cordial.
Semi cordial. I mean, we do get to the point where he'll be like, yeah, didn't listen to Kendrick's new album. It was trash, and I'm like, you just said you didn't listen to it, so how is it trash?
Okay, okay, okay. That's fair. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you guys wanted to kind of do a more casual thing where you guys both, I get it, I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He'll never listen to this, but I think he just hates on popular rap too much, except for Wayne and Drake.
Okay, so he hates Eminem too.
Uh, Not his older stuff.
Oh,
But he okay. So he said he hates Eminem, but he'll listen to every single new album that he comes out with. So I mean, I guess he's still not gonna not listen to him.
it's so it's funny. Like it may be a little different. So like someone, I think Shaq has this like uh he has this like kind of rivalry or hatred for Dwight Howard. and I think part of it is because Dwight Howard took the Superman moniker because Shaq was
Oh
Superman
yeah.
in like the 90s and early 2000s, and like Dwight was like, I'm the new Superman, I'm Superman, and then he did like a couple of Sports Center where he acts like Superman, and so there's like this little beef between Shaq and Dwight because their careers were like very similar, like eerily similar. That like they both started out with the Orlando Magic. They both went to the NBA Finals with the Orlando Magic. Dwight went to Los Angeles after Orlando. Shaq went to Los Angeles after Orlando, and both of them suck at free throws. Uh, Great defenders. Like it was so eerie how similar they are. But you know, they have this rivalry where Shaq hates Dwight because Dwight always wanted Shaq as a mentor, but Shaq just wouldn't. But yeah, they had this rivalry, this hatred for each other, and you know, Dwight had like a bunch of back issues, and he's kind of related to basically a role player. So now he won his title, and so he's now playing in Taiwan, and he's just having a lot of fun in Taiwan. But his team have like a below 500 record and stuff. And Shaq was posting about how like how can you be in Taiwan and have like a below 500 record, all that. Like Shaq refuses to even acknowledge that Dwight is a Hall of Famer, even though he's like one of the greatest players of all time. Like he's like one of the greatest defensive players of all time. You know, he won the defensive player of the year. He just like he's a Hall of Famer, but like Shaq hates him so much he won't acknowledge him as that. And so Shaq was pointing out how like Dwight's team was like below 500 at Taiwan, and people would joke about how like other people would have like you know shady stuff on their incognito mode, but Shaq has Taiwanese basketball in his incognito mode just to trash on Dwight. Like that's what he's built different in that he's just like looking up stuff for Dwight. And I'm just kind of thinking that your friend listens to Eminem just to listen to it, just to hate on it. Like just he's gonna listen to it. He's like, this is why this song sucks. This is why that song sucks.
Yeah, maybe it's just so he can say, "Oh man, this thing sucked,"
Yeah,
just so he can start talking about it with me. But the thing is, me with Eminem, I'm not like I really do like Eminem, but I will admit if I'm not like a stan or whatever, I will admit if something is bad. Like I didn't like Eminem's last two albums, the ones that he put out like in the same year, the Music to Be Murdered by Side A and Side B. I didn't really enjoy those overall, and I'll say that.
yeah,
Um, but I think we're actually kind of in agreement on a lot of our Eminem takes. But I think he just goes like he goes like so like hardcore and be like, no man, he sucks. But then he'll always listen to something new. He might not listen to a new Eminem feature, but just the albums type stuff. So,
yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah,
but I guess we do both. I
understood.
guess we do both have an agreement on how much Jay Z has fallen off and how irrelevant he is now. I think we would both agree with that.
Dude, like when was Blueprint the last Blueprint released?
Blueprint 3 would have been released, I think, 2007.
That was the last like album I've ever heard from Jay-Z's like that an album that he released because I don't really know of Jay-Z releasing albums. Like I rarely heard about it growing up, and like maybe it's because I'm not really that into
Yeah.
music as you guys are, but that like it's like Blueprint was like the last thing I ever heard, and it was like it's been like a decade since I heard of Jay Z releasing anything. Has he released anything since
So
Blueprint
I'm
3?
I'm here trashing Jay Z, but I will say that he did his last, I guess, true solo album he released was 444, and that one was good. I will admit that was a good album. But then
When did?
2017.
Okay,
But
okay,
see,
so that
I like to
yeah.
shit on him because all I talk about is his last album, the one he released with Beyonce, and that was terrible. I never wanted to hear that after. I mean,
Was
I
that
didn't
after
even finish it.
Lemonade?
Yeah, that was after Lemonade.
Okay.
Yeah, I had that album is just dumb. And
Okay.
then he released several albums after. Yeah, man, he released Watch the Throne after Blueprint 3. But I guess that's with Kanye. That doesn't count as a solo album.
Mm.
But
I mean, I can't say that I'm like too much into music to
yeah.
follow all the
But
albums and such.
anyways, Blueprint 3, terrible album. See, that's another knock he's got against him. That is the worst of all the Blueprint albums.
Yeah, I mean it's the only like album I've heard. I mean, when I heard of
Well, I,
Blueprint,
I I
I
mean, it
heard
makes
there's a
sense
series of
that that would be
blueprints.
the only one that you heard because that album was
Yeah,
so popular.
yeah. And like, obviously, I don't know too much about Jay Z's music and such, but I have heard that he's like people consider him as like one of the greats of all time,
He's
just
he
from his earlier stuff.
Yeah, I do. I will say I still think he is one of the greats, but I think he's just like he just doesn't have anything interesting to rap about anymore. He's just always rapping about how rich he is now, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Is he worth like $1 billion now?
Yeah.
So
So,
yeah, makes sense.
but yeah. All
Yep.
right. I guess we should get into this this episode. Um,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah. So the episode title is "Heading for Disaster."
Oh, mine is Goodbye at Drum Island. I'm going out to sea.
Okay, well, it seems like this should be close to the same thing.
Yep. Yep. We'll see.
Um,
Go
so the episode opens with the cherry blossom like snow falling down, and the crew on the ship watching it come down.
on.
Nami says that they should leave Chopper alone for a few, as he's never been away from home. Chopper says goodbye to Dr. K and Dr. H, and says it's time to see the world and to wish him life. Uh, it cuts. It then cuts to the pirates singing and Luffy dancing around. Usopp tells Chopper to quit daydreaming and come over and have some root beer. Um, Chopper seems scared, and Nami says, "Don't be scared. He's got some wild friends on this ship." Chopper realizes that they are his friend and twitches his nose. Vivi then says, "Karu, how did you end up frozen in the river?" As we see Karu as a solid ice block sinking, but the next scene, he's trying to warm up in Vivi's arms. Zolo says he tripped over his own feet. Chopper translates Karu's quacking and says he jumped in to save Zolo when he fell in and then got all frozen. Nami winds up her arms and punches Zolo in the head, saying, "Way to go, Joe." I'll leave it here, see if there's anything different.
So basically, a lot of it is very similar. But yeah, like Vivi is like, Karu, what happened to you? We found you frozen in the sea, and then Zoro was joking around saying, haha, he probably tripped on his own feet and fell and landed in the water frozen. And yeah, then Karu said, yeah, it's all what he said. Is basically a similar thing to what you guys said about him just like going after jumping after Zoro because he thought Zoro like went into the water and drowned and died, so he went after him. And then, so Nami then hits Zoro in the head, saying it was your fault that he was frozen in the river and stuff. And he's like, oh, um, but yeah, basically.
Gotcha. So then Vivi is shocked that Chopper can understand him, and he says, "We animals talk the talk and not just talk the squawk." Which also really doesn't make sense because he's saying we animals, and he's the only one that can, so far, that can understand the other animal. Also, it's also confusing because you would think it would be like that Vivi could understand Karu more, but I guess she really can't. Um,
Well, yeah. So basically, in this one, Chopper basically says, "Well, I was originally an animal, so I can still
yeah.
understand other animals."
Oh,
So
see, that makes more sense than doing the stupid joke phrase "talk the talk" and not just talk the squawk.
wait,
Um,
what does Chopper have like a distinct accent? Like, does he have like a Russian accent or something?
no, he just has a really high pitched accent.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Nami is impressed, and Chopper says she makes him want to dance. Nami then explains to Zolo and the rest of the crew that he's a doctor. Luffy says, "That's a shame. I guess we can't eat him," as Chopper realizes he forgot his medical kit. Nami produces the kit in front of Chopper and says she found it on the sled and that Dr. K must have put it there. The whole crew celebrates with a toast to the ship's new doctor. Dalton then tells Dr. K that she should be. So then it cuts to Dalton and he's telling Dr. K that she should be proud of Chopper. Dr. K asks what's next for him, and Dalton says he has a lot of making up to do. He's going to go away and leave the country for its people. Dr. K says that stinks, and Dalton says that she's right and that he will help the village follow their dreams. Dr. K then says it's clear he's a man with love for his own country and that um, he learned something as simple as that from a 10-year-old girl. So that's what Dalton says that he learned, you know, that he loved his own country from a 10-year-old girl. We then get flashback to Dalton with Wapple's crew at a conference in the castle.
Wait,
Someone,
wait, wait.
yeah.
So let's kind of take a pause right here. So to kind of refresh. So yeah. So one thing I mentioned. So basically, Nami kind of like compliments Chopper, and Chopper is someone who hates compliments. So it's like he curses at them in like a cheerful manner while dancing. It's kind of his thing is that he always like cheerfully curses at people, saying you shouldn't cheer me on and all that. You can see that he's actually pretty delighted with the compliments and stuff. So the part where he talks about the doctor supplies is true, is the same pretty much, and it's at that point that that Chopper's like, "Oh, I forgot my supplies," and Nami's like, "Oh, this bag," and she said it was in his sleigh, and she thought Chopper packed it, but it turns out it was actually Doctor K who packed it. um, and they Chopper gets a little teary eyed because all that, and the guys are like, "Oh wait, medicine?" And then Nami's like, "Yeah, the doctor, like basically taught him everything he knows," and everyone's like, "That's cool," and Nami's like, "Why do you guys think you picked him up?" So here's the thing. So in the Japanese translation, Luffy says the reason why he got Chopper is because of the seven form transformation thing that
Oh,
Chopper does,
yeah,
where he
yeah.
and but in the English, it's basically that he's like, yeah, cool reindeer that cool shape shifting reindeer. That's what he says. Um, so Luffy says that, and then Sanji is like, spare meat, and Chopper's like, what? So I guess they cut out that part because of Sanji's comment.
No,
Um,
because Luffy says in this that now we can't eat him.
Oh, that's weird. They should have left Sanji's comment in because that's what Sanji says is like, oh yeah, no, he's spare meat. Um, but yeah, then you go back to the conversation, and basically how the conversation in the Funimation goes is like, yeah, Dalton is talking about how like um, you know, Spike like going back against Wapol, like he felt that because he was part of Wapol's bad regime as a guard in Wapol's bad regime, he feels that he is a reminder to the townsmember of that time, and he was thinking about leaving the town because of that. And then Dr. K was like, "Do you really feel like that?" He's like, "No." He's like, then he says he's going to try to stay and try to improve the village and to try to like kind of redeem himself, I guess, or repent or whatever, because of all that's happened. And she's like, oh, okay, that sounds pretty good. And then he mentioned something about a 10-year-old girl, which is when we get to the flashback, which is where you're at right now.
Yeah. So in the flashback, someone named King Nebra of Alabasta is announced to be walking through. Dalton says he heard he's a compassionate king. Then cuts to one of the king's men saying there's this one dude named Dragon who's a rebel and in 5 or 6 years from now he'll be a superpower and use his strength to destroy the alliance. Wapple says it's ridiculous and they call him out saying this is a civil council. Wapple gets mad saying don't push him and he decides to walk out. As he's walking out, he sees a young girl that is clearly Vivi, um, who's Nebra's daughter, and he slaps her and she falls down. This is actually in
Oh,
the Four Kids.
wow.
Yeah, they left that in. Igaram sees this and asks Wapple what his problem is. Vivi tells Igaram it's okay. It was an accident, and Dalton is impressed at how diplomatic she is. It then cuts to Vivi crying in Igaram's arms. Dalton says the princess left her country and she has the courage, um, and still has it to this day. We then see all the other doctors asking how they can help in the new country, and Dalton says, as Hero Look said, nothing's impossible. So yeah,
Okay.
anything different here?
I guess like to give a quick recap of this part. So yeah, we're at the they call it the world it's like they call it the world conference. In the Japanese one they call it the reverie. Um and basically so they're at the reverie. They mention King Nefertari, who is the king of Alabasta, and yeah, so they're talking about the revolutionary dragon and how he's like going up in the world. And what's funny is that uh, it, I don't know if people realize this, but they already saw Dragon once before. Uh, because he was actually when it was when I was like rewatching the show that I realized, oh, they're actually they like he actually was more. I thought it was like one hidden scene um in Logtown, but when I rewatched the episodes, he was actually a pretty prominent role in the Logtown episode. So he was in Logtown. Like we actually do see him in Logtown, where he says a lot of stuff. So um, Dragon is someone that we've actually seen in Logtown and stuff.
I don't
Um,
even remember him.
yeah, it is so like that is just since it's like a singular episode, a lot of people forget that he was actually there in Locktown. Besides, there is this one iconic scene that he has in Locktown that a lot of people remember him by, but a lot of people forget the whole monologue that he gives.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. I looked him up. Yeah, I remember him now.
yeah,
Slightly.
yeah, and the thing is, so we see him now, and we're not gonna see him for another 200 episodes, around 200 episodes. And it's around that point that we're gonna get another reference to him. But yeah, so he is referenced here. So then same thing as you said. Like they're like, hey, you need to take this guy seriously. He's gonna be a big deal in 5 to 6 years. And then he doesn't care. He's like, hey, just don't get us involved. You guys can do whatever. Just don't get us involved and stuff. Ignorant, and then King Nefertari yells at him, saying, "Hey, you need to take this seriously." And then he leaves. He spots Vivi and he slaps her. And Igaram is like, "Hey, what's your problem?" And Vivi diplomatically says, "Oh no, it's nothing. I ran into his forehead." And Dalton is admiring that a little girl is able to keep it pretty diplomatic, because he did mention about how like in this world forum, um, things are always like tight and friction, and like a small event could trigger a war between two countries and stuff. Which is why he thought like it was very brave of Phoebe to like not cause a ruckus, because it would have caused a war between Alabasta and Drum Island. But obviously, she was very diplomatic. But later on, she is crying on Igaram's shoulders, and Dalton oversees like her crying and stuff. Um, though a lot of it's the same. Um, and this is my personal take. Wapple was very stupid to do that, because if there was a fight between the two countries, Drum Island would have definitely gotten their ass kicked. So yeah, but yeah, so yeah, just wanted to kind of give that. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so then cuts back to Dalton, and one of the men shows Dalton a poster of Luffy's bounty. Dalton says, "Tell me more." The man says, "About a week ago, a long and tall dude in a black trench coat with a black hat was looking for a pirate named Blackbeard who attacked them before and then asked about another pirate in a straw hat. They then say the guy weirded out on them and showed them the wanted poster. He said he'll wait 10 days for them to bring him to Alabasta if he shows up. They ask for his name and says, "Just tell him my name is Trace." If that doesn't get his attention, then nothing will. He runs off saying, "Find that pirate." Dalton says, "Waiting 10 days in Alabasta doesn't make sense." Dr. K then says if Dalton's ever heard about the pirate named Gold D. Roger. As Dalton says, "You mean Gold Roger?" Dr. K says, "How strange, Gold D's spirit must still live on in that straw hat." Yeah, so is this what happens here? Anything different?
A couple of things different. It's mostly around the same. So basically, um, and it's possible you saw the scene and forgot to put it in, but basically, like, yeah, um, basically, the guy brings him this the wanted poster. He's like, "Oh, I should have told you this a week ago," but yeah, this guy was looking for Straw Hat Luffy, and then it is that flashback, and he says, "Hey, I'm looking for this guy. Um, if he ever comes by, tell him that he'll be in Alabasta for 10 days. He'll wait for him in Alabasta for 10 days, but that's it." Um, and they're like, "What's his name?" He's like, "Just tell him his name in the official one is not Trace, it's Ace." I don't know why they made Ace into Trace. I don't know if it's because they don't want people to know about, like, card games. It's the only thing I could think of, is that they don't want it to talk about card games. But yeah, his name is Ace, not Trace. But hey, whatever. And then as he's walking away, he's like, "Yeah, just tell him that Ace will be waiting, and if you just tell him the name Ace, he'll know." And he walks away, and then as he's walking away, a guy tells at him saying, "Hey, you ate a lot of food and didn't pay." He's like, and then he just like falls, and he like gets up and like runs away. And then you go back, and Dr. K Kureha sees that Luffy's name is Monkey D. Luffy, and she's like, what do you think about Goldie Roger?" And Dalton's like, "Do you mean Gold Roger?" And she's like, "Oh, does he go by Gold Roger now? Like, does he go by that name now?" This is the first time I think we know that his name is not Gold Roger, it's Gold D Roger. And Dr. K mentions about how the will of D still lives on. Um, it, I think in the regular sub in the Japanese, they call it the will of D, but in the dub, at least right now, um, she said the spirit of D. So yeah.
They don't
Um,
say that it must live on in the straw hat?
no, no, they don't say it lives on in the Straw Hat. They're like,
Oh, well, that's
she
what they
just
do say
says,
in the Four Kids.
"Oh yeah, no," she just says the will of D lives on. That's it.
Oh.
And she just mentions how, like, oh, it looks like her son Chopper has joined a very dangerous person. And yeah.
Gosh, she doesn't even say that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, all right, so we now cut to Chopper on the ship looking at the sea when a huge bird flies over them. Luffy mistakes it for a seagull and it starts heading for them as Nami tells him to do something. The bird sweeps up Luffy in his mouth and Chopper starts freaking out, but the pirates tell him he'll be okay. Luffy performs Gum Gum Twister, knocks out the bird onto the ship, causing everyone to fall down. Luffy asks if it can be cooked, as Sanji says he has first dibs on the drumstick. Chopper's nose starts to twitch and they ask what's up, and he hesitates and says, "Pirate's life is great." Nami then runs out and says they are almost in Alabasta and to stop horsing around, as they all say, "Yes, mommy." Um, Chopper then asks, "What's Alabasta?" They say that Vivi's father owns the kingdom, but this creep named Crocodile is trying to take over it. They go on to explain they are worse pirates than them, and they attack pirates left and right and swat them down like flies, then lie to the government pretending that they are bad guys. Vivi says his real goal is to start a revolution and not to stop bad pirates as he started out with. She says they need to crush them and drive the Baroque works out of the country. Chopper asks who the Baroque works are, and Usopp says they'll need a calculator to explain it. I'm going to stop here because then they go on to explain all the members of the Baroque works. So, anything before that?
Yeah, a little different. So yeah, the bird takes Luffy. So do they show the guys like dealing out the cards and playing cards?
Uh, in the sky while he's fighting the bird?
No, so Chopper gets freaked out. He runs and he tells the guy, "Hey guys, Luffy got caught on a bird." He's
Oh, I
like,
can't remember. I'm sure I don't see why they would cut out the cards. I know you're worried about gambling. I don't think that's something they'd cut out. I can't remember.
so basically, yeah, it's like Chopper runs to the back saying, "Hey, Luffy's been caught by a seagull or a bird," and you just see like Usopp, Sanji, and Zoro. Like Usopp is dealing out cards to the three of them and stuff, and they're like playing cards. And then Zoro's like, well, hey, did Luffy tell you he's ready?" He's like, "No, then he's fine." And then you see Luffy then do like a gum gum helicopter or something, where he just twists his arm, takes it, and then he does the rotation thing and lands on the boat, and it knocks out everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, "Hey, Sanji, I got food," and he's like, "Why are you guys sleeping?" It's like, "Cause of you." They all three of them just get up saying, "It's cause of you," and then he's like, "Sanji, hey, I got this bird," and Zoro's like, "Oh, great, we're gonna get some good food now," and he's like, and then Sanji talks about how he can like make like a good meal out of that bird and stuff. So yeah, there's that. And so yeah, then Nami comes in and says, "Hey, we're almost at Alabasta." So it's at this point they actually talk about the warlord system, or in the Japanese they call it the Shichibukai. Um, and they basically talk about how there are pirates who go about like pillaging and doing all that, and then there are pirates who are considered warlords, and there are, I think it's like 8 warlords or 7 warlords, I can't remember, and they're like government sanctioned pirates who basically take out other pirates and stuff, and one of them is Crocodile, who is the warlord that is causing a lot of chaos in Alabasta. He is treated like a hero over in Alabasta, but apparently he's causing a lot of issues in Alabasta, and so they need to try to take him down, and that's when they kind of go into how Baroque works is set, and I'll let you.
They don't even
Uh,
mention the warlords as far as I remember. They don't
well,
mention that they
considering where
tell.
it ended,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, Vivi goes on to explain to Chopper that the head known as Mister Zero, but there are 13 special agents who answer directly to him. 12 numbered agents, all men, work for with 12 female counterparts. Mr. One works with Mrs. New Year's Eve. Mr. Two is the only agent that flies solo. Mr. 3 oozes with candle wax and works with Mr. April Fool's Day. Mr. 4 teams up with Mrs. Groundhog Day. Mr. 5, aka Booger Dude, teams up with Mrs. Valentine, and she can become as light as a feather because she ate the kilo fruit. They are all officers and each have eaten the cursed fruit. 6 to 13 are all bad news except for Mr. 9, who put his life on the line as a double agent. Also, Mrs. Monday and Igaram, um, who's Mr. 8, were good. She says, "May they rest in peace." Sanji then asks about the sea otter and the vulture, to which Vivi replies, "That's Mr. 13 and Mrs. Friday. The unluckies, they are the enforcers, as they punish any agent who dares to fail." She goes on to say that's not all. There's at least 200 agents assigned to the top 5 called the Billions, and working for those officers are at least 1,800 working for other agents. Vivi then says they need to be afraid, and even her father was tricked by Mr. Zero into thinking that he was a good guy. Usopp tries to add 1,800 plus 200, can't figure it out, as Chopper blurts out 2,000. Luffy says makes sense since they gotta grab the croc by his tail and pound him. I'll stop here to see if any different description was said. Maybe.
Yeah, I forget the name of them, but it's like, yeah, number one. I'm sorry. Yeah, the first one, the head honcho crocodile. He is Mister
Yeah,
Zero. Um, and then Mister One. He is with a lady. I forget the name of the lady's
it's
name.
got to be New Year's
Um,
Eve.
yeah, something like that. Um, Number two, Mr. Two is the one who is the only one without like a partner. Mr. Three is he is the wax fruit. And he was the one who was defeated in Little Garden, which you guys don't know about because Four Kids, for whatever reason, cut out Little Garden, which is going to be interesting because of what I'm about to say in a little bit. So, Mr. Three is that. Mr. Four and his partner are to be seen because I think we haven't faced them yet. And then the next, Mr. Five and his partner are the booger ones. So they're the ones that we faced in Whiskey Peak or Mystic Peak or whatever call it. Um, so yeah, so those are the agents. So just wanted to mention that like Mr. Three was already defeated in Little Garden. Not that you guys haven't seen him. They already did face him and they
Oh,
defeated
okay. Well, just get ready for this then.
him. Okay, I am excited to see what they're gonna say next. What's gonna happen in the next scene?
Yeah. So Luffy mentions they gotta grab the croc by his tail and pound him. Usopp says he hasn't made sense in years. Zolo says they are just a few against thousands. Luffy says the deal is they need to beat the croc. As Sanji says, you can't even count to 2,000. It then cuts to Mr. So, okay. So now it cuts to Mr. 2 dealing
Mm-hmm.
with someone who he refers to as a piglet. Mr.
Mm-hmm.
2, Mr. 2 almost has a French accent and he says they're making things worse for him. He says he's an elite
Oh,
officer
nice.
and asks them to repeat Mr. Zero's orders. They say he told us to make haste and do whatever it takes to beat Mr. 3.
Mm.
Mr. 2 says haste makes waste and you didn't waste Mr. 3. He says Zero doesn't tolerate failure. They should have burned the wax at both ends. Piglet says they had lookouts, and Mr. 3 takes it as an offense. Mr. 2 says if they don't finish it, then Mr. 3 in April Fools will write his swan song. He then says, don't fail me, and sets his swan ship at full speed to Alabasta. All of a sudden, it cuts to Mr. Zero asking what kind of croc is this about, as pirates are causing problems in the kingdom. This female with him says the country is on the verge of a revolution. What better time to snatch up a few pirates? Mr. Zero is walking away and she says he has to keep things running, or Mr. Zero is walking away and says he has to keep things running smoothly on the surface. They are so naive, but the pirates will arrive just in time to watch the fall of a nation. When it falls, it will fall hard.
Okay. Um, so I got a question for you. When you guys went to that scene with Mr. Two, did you see an island with two big skulls, skeleton skulls?
I do not remember that.
Oh, because guess what? Guess what island they were in when Mr. Two had that conversation.
Uh,
They were in Little Garden. Um, they were in Little Garden. So
the part that they cut
basically,
out.
yes. So, you pan into Little Garden, you see the two big skeletal bone structures that's been formed over the years. Uh, I'm not gonna put spoilers out there regarding a recent chapter, but so they put skeletal structures on the island. So you see that they're actually back in Little Garden, and what Mister Zero told Mister Two was to kill uh, Mr. Three between Alabasta and Little Garden. Like, eventually they'll meet up at some point between those two. He's like, when you do meet up with him, kill him. That's what he told him. And Mr. Two was like, we got to get that done because if we don't get it done, uh, Mr. Zero will have Mr. Two killed. So he's like, we got to get this done. So yeah, that's what he says, is to actually kill Mr. Three,
But I
not
thought Mr.
beat
3
him
was
up.
already dead.
No, they defeated him. They didn't kill him.
Oh, okay. I got it.
Yeah, uh, Crocodile wants them to actually get killed. So then, now we're back at the room, and Crocodile's like, "What's this? Pirates are causing chaos in the country." He's like, "I gotta go deal with this." And you see the lady. She's like, "Yeah, you gotta obviously have your appearances, because he is considered the savior of the country." Um, and we know the woman. The woman is Miss All Sunday because we are introduced to Miss All Sunday in Whiskey Peak when she sneaks on their ship and tells them, basically offers to give them a log pose, which Luffy breaks. That's the same lady. Um, but yeah, so it's Miss All Sunday who's there, um, and yeah, basically, Mr. Zero is like, oh yeah, I gotta go take care of this, which is Crocodile, obviously. So yeah, just wanted to put in that it was actually Miss All Sunday. But yeah,
Okay, now I remember seeing her. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, well, this time it's not. She's not as her body isn't as exposed as it was when we first saw her, because I think this was like something that they apparently heavily censored, because she was wearing a very skimpy outfit when she first met the crew, but she's now more covered, um, in this scene. But yeah,
Why?
like just how the scene is made.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's the end of the episode. I guess there's not much different, but it's weird. I guess you were just weirded out that they had that Mr. 3 was even in it, right?
Not Mr. Two.
Oh,
Mr.
gotcha.
Three wasn't in the episode. It was just that they had to
Yes,
kill
they
Mr.
mentioned.
Three.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I got it.
But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. All right.
but
Well,
yeah,
we'll see where this goes. I gotta say, I did like this episode only for finally they mentioned all the numbered agents and broke that down. That was a lot to write down
yeah,
for me, but I did like that they finally broke down the agents, and I liked hearing this really stupid names.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was it. I guess we'll be back in a couple weeks for the next episode. It'll be episode 60 from the Four Kids.
Nice. It'll be episode 92.
Yep. All
No,
right. Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone. And yeah, tune in a couple weeks. Thanks, everyone.
thanks.
Bye.